Wait, everyone. It's special Sunday. Wait, everyone. A pleasant day.
Sir Nanti, good morning. Ma'am Beatrice, good morning also.
Good morning, sir.
Wow. So, nakapamahaw na.
Maayong buntag, sir.
Wala pa.
Okay. Mayong buntag, sir. Nag-breakfast na, sir? Sir Nanti, good morning.
Hindi pa. Hindi, sir. Wala pa.
Mm,
Maayong buntag sa tanan. Wala pa, sir. Nahunong tungod sa 9:30. Naratod.
wala ki, sir. So, what tayo mahimo ni, it's a given job sa to, apart sa to ang kuan. Yes, so it's part man sa to ang final requirement. So, we have to accept the challenge, sir.
Yes, sir.
By the way, sir, how's the Boy Scout event yesterday, sir? Yes, so that's part na sa to ang final requirement. So, ikaw ba to, Sir Renante, ang nai-event sa Boy Scout gapon?
Yes, sir. We have
Ah,
meeting.
meeting to, sir. With your kuan, senior scouts nimo? O
No,
ko
sir.
kuan?
What do you call that one? Annual 74th annual meeting para sa Tanang Cebu, sir.
Okay. Hmm. So, good morning, Sir Villanueva. Good morning, Ma'am Joanne. Okay. So, at least before we will start, maka-check sa to ang camera, sa to ang audio.
Kapag na?
Okay,
Okay, kumusta ang signal na, sir? Wala yung mga additional kuan, sir? Unwanted sounds there. It's like na yung mga kuan namo gina-construct din sa school, na ako sa school karon. Okay, so basig na mo yung mga kuan, gusto i-send nga messages like shout outs or mga greetings baka, sige, feel free. Let's start from Serenante. Sige. Okay, kindly unmute Serenante.
Yun.
Okay.
Sorry, nakalimot.
Okay. Okay, sige sir. Sige, take it away sir.
Salamat sa pagkakataon na ibinigay ng research sa ating punong sa atong doktora, Dr. Rowani. Doc, maraming salamat sa pagkakataon na to and lalo na kay Sir Benavides. sir, sa inyo po yung credit lahat. Salamat sa experience. And
Thank you, sir.
shout out na sa aming school head kay Ma'am Linda Ferraren, sa aming assistant school head si Ma'am Ruby Pila, and the rest of our teachers sa Cantawan National High School. Shout out sa inyo lahat.
Okay, good
Sir,
morning.
Morning.
Okay, good morning sa lahat sa imong co-teachers and admin sa imong school. And let's hear now from Ma'am Beatrice. Okay, go on, Ma'am Beatrice. Hello, Ma'am. Kindly unmute, Ma'am. Okay, so I think busy si Ma'am. How about Ma'am Joanne? Okay, Ma'am Joanne. Any greetings, shout outs, any messages before we will start? Okay, by the way, for the YouTube viewers, so naka-flash sa screen na to ang registration. Okay, how about Sir John Ray? Sir John Ray.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Okay. Okay, good morning,
I would
sir.
like to extend my greetings. Thank you to our professor, Dr. Rowani, and to you, Sir Benavides, for this new experience in introducing us this StreamYard. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. And also in my part, shout out to my principal, Dr. Jima A. Bendable, and her assistant principal, Ms. Genevieve C. Garcia. Okay, so we have one participant in our YouTube. Hey, good morning, Ryzen Nelfits. Asking for the registration link. So it's on the screen now. And also, nasad sa ato ang chat box. Kindly click na lang. And thank you, Sir Renante, sa ato ang preparation sa evaluation. So aside nga magkuanta, register, we have also evaluation for the entire activity. Then afterwards, auto-generated, you will get your certificate via your email or Gmail. Okay, so advice lang ako sa atong viewers. So once mo fill up na to sa atong evaluation link, okay, kindly fill up properly, check the spelling. Okay, unsa atong gi-type sa ato ang evaluation, mausad na ang name mo gawa sa ato ang certificate because it's auto-generated. Okay? So wala pa to ang classmates. Okay, once again, good morning everyone. So my name is Benavides P. Hironjo Jr., your Master of Ceremony of the day. Okay, so I'm from Zapatera National High School, one of the faculty. Okay, I'm a science team teacher and also taking up MAID Physics in teaching science. Okay, my first year in MAID Physics. Okay, so how about co-educators? Nakapa-enroll na ba mo, sir? Nakasugod na mo? Sir Nante, naka-1 na ka? Step 1 na ka? sa imuhang enrollment?
Wala pa, sir.
Okay,
Wala
how
pa.
about Sir John Ray? Nag-post naman ang ato ang school, CTU,
Enrollment
for
na po di ay?
enrollment. Oh, enrollment na sad sir.
Hmm,
Tinggawas sa atong kwarta sir.
wala pa paghuman.
Mao lagi panguyawan tag enroll. But ang gi-prioritize ang mga new student pa man hinon sir. Okay, Ma'am
Mm-mm.
Janine Babanto. Good morning, ma'am. Okay. So to formally start our event this morning, okay, may I call in Sir John Ray Villanueva for the routinary activities for this morning. Okay, take it away, Sir John Ray.
Thank you, sir. Once again, good morning, everyone. To formally start this webinar, may I request everyone to stand for our national anthem and remain standing for our invocation, to be followed by the ASEAN hymn, and lastly would be our CTU hymn.
our ever-loving Father, the core of every reason, the source of truth. You who made the earth and the heavens are the ultimate goal of every knowledge seekers, the infinite wisdom, the cause of all that is good. We are truly grateful for this opportunity to gather together as a community despite the challenges we face each day. Yet you remained and gave us strength to carry on the responsibilities of bearing intelligence and using them for better purposes. We now humbly ask you to join us in our endeavor to explore the wonders of life in the world for knowledge's sake, that in whatever we learn today, we become more grounded to you, who is truth, who is love. We pray that you bless our speakers, the fount of your infinite knowledge, that they can share something worthwhile despite the limited time we have. They can channel all they know and share to us the beauty and truth of living as your child. We pray that you guide our participants, the seekers of your boundless knowledge, that they may continue to persevere in the search and be deemed worthy to share what they learn from today's session. Sanctify us, O Lord, not because we are worthy of it, but because we believe in your love and mercy, that at the end of the day, we can take home something that's amazing and meaningful. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Okay, once again, good morning. Hey, good morning, participants. Good morning, everyone. So we are now in this very momentous event. Okay, a chance, a huge chance, okay, given to us by our professor of our subject in MA in MAID of Cebu Technological University main campus. Okay, no other than Dr. Juan Mari Mangumpit. And also, this event will not be successful without the efforts, the resources of these very brilliant ladies. Okay, they are teachers also, our classmates. Okay, so they are using all the resources. But hey, disclaimer, we are not asking any amount here. Okay, so we are just doing our efforts just to be successful. Okay, so I think, Sir Janri, can you join me here if you don't mind, Sir
Sir?
Janri? Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Once again,
We've
good morning.
experienced a very slight technical problem a while ago.
Okay. So siguro sir, patabang po ni magbasa sa atong messages sa atong chat box.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so ianam lang natog flash ang ilahang mga greetings, ilahang messages sa atong screen. Okay? Take it away, sir.
All right. That is from Ma'am Janine Babanto. Greetings. Good morning, everyone. Another greetings that is from May Irish Lipas. Good morning. And if you still want to have some shout-outs, okay, pwede na dyan kayo na ninyo i-comment sa atong YouTube. Kana among participants na under sa project sa ato ang professor, Sir Ma'am Rowani Mompi. Okay, sir. From Ma'am Stella May Linabog. Okay, thank you daw. Thank you. Salamat po. Thank you also. Right. So may we have some greetings, sir, from Queenie Rose Turing. Good morning. Good morning also, Queenie.
Okay. Thank you,
Murag
sir.
daghan-daghan jud niya tong viewers naman, sir. Thank you,
Uh,
sir.
Based atong kuan, we have 17 viewers. So I waba ka mag-drop. Okay, so for our registration, okay, so may I call in Sir Renanti Andrade for the opening remarks of this event this morning. Okay, Sir Renanti.
And so once again, a pleasant day to everyone. This virtual seminar aims to give further information to our future researchers about the research methodology. Research methodology simply refers to the practical how of any given piece of research. More specifically, it's about a researcher systematically designs a study to ensure valid and reliable results that address the research aims and objectives. For example, how did the researchers go about deciding what data to collect and what data to ignore? And who to collect it? It's actually called sampling designs. How to collect it? This is called data collections methods. How to analyze it? This is called data analysis methods. Importantly, a good methodology, chapter or dissertations or a thesis explain not just what methodological choices were made, but also explain why they were made. Again, once again, a pleasant day to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Renanti. Okay, so since our speaker is already in our backstage, so let me call in Ma'am Beatrice Marie C. Laxina for the introduction of our guest speaker. Okay, go on, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. To introduce our guest speaker today, she finished her master's in applied linguistics from the University of San Carlos in 2010. A licensed professional teacher of the Philippines since 2004. Currently pursuing her Doctor of Communication from the University of the Philippines Open University, specializing on intercultural and cross-cultural communication, multicultural education since 2018. A member of the Association of the Filipino Educators in Korea since 2014. Also a member and contributor of the Council of ASEAN Professors in Korea since 2019. Member of Korea TESOL since 2018. She is no other than Miss Aryosa Mary Catherine.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I clear?
Yes, we can, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Okay, so I need to share my screen, right? Yeah. Okay. So here we go again. Wait a moment because my PPT is somewhere and I cannot share my screen. Give me a sec. Application window. How come it's not coming out? What did I do? Give me a moment. I cannot share my screen.
Okay, for a while, ma'am.
Okay. So I click the application window, right? And then, but it's not coming out from the choices. So how does it work? For Chrome tab or what? Wait a moment. I think I can do it from here. Is it? How can I, sir? How can I share? How can I share the screen? Okay, so everybody can see and hear me. Wait a moment. I'm figuring out how to share the screen. We've done
Uh,
this before.
sige, continue, ma'am.
I'm trying to share the screen and then I'm clicking it again and then share screen.
Okay.
Uh, and then, but it's not coming out from my application window, and which is, I don't know why. So what do I do?
Mhm.
How can I share my screen? I need to share my screen.
Kindly
Uh-oh.
press share, ma'am. Sige, press share.
Also, I press shared and then I click share screen and then
Share
it has,
screen.
yes, share screen sharing tips. Then I just click that one, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then I have three options: the entire screen, application window, and Chrome tab.
Uh,
I click
entire screen.
and
Entire screen.
but my entire screen is this meeting, not my PPT. So I need, how do I open? What's happening? There. Wait a moment. Is it here? Let me check. We are. It's me, right? It's just you and me. Stop. Why is my PPT not shared? How do I share it? Mhm. Mr. Andrade said, "Lord help us." Don't worry, the Lord will be there. Sir, can I
um,
just email? Wait, because if I click on my PPT, it's just there, but then the platform is not here. I cannot click from here.
okay. Sige, ma'am. Kindly send sa email siguro, ma'am.
Wait, it's here finally. Okay, I'm good. Okay, did
Okay.
you see? Okay, finally. Yes,
Okay,
the
that's it.
Lord helps us.
Okay. Thank you,
Yes,
Sir
Mr.
Nante.
Andrade. Yes, thank you for your prayers, sir. So I wish I could see you, but I can only see my PPT because I think I don't, because I don't have a dual monitor. So Mr. um Ben Gerun
Sir,
already
Sir
explained to me
Hironjo.
last time.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, sige, sir. So anyway, good morning, everybody. I hope you are listening, and yes, I want to share my insights on research methodologies. So quantitative and qualitative. By the way, thank you for that very kind introduction, Miss. Okay, I forgot the name. Sorry. Anyway. Again, I'm Ariosa Mary Catherine, and today I'm going to talk about research methodology. So already, Mr. Andrade discussed some parts of methodology, which includes research design, and the design would answer the specific questions or the objectives of your study. So as we go along the talk, words such as design, collecting or gathering of data, and analysis of data, and validity and reliability, they will be forever, or they will be there, always mentioned in the talk. So thank you, Mr. Andrade, for giving a primer to the talk, so at least the audience will be able to understand that these are the common terms when we talk about methodology. So, like what he said, a methodology is part of you. So, for your undergraduate and master's thesis, methodology is part of your chapter one. But when you're doing your dissertation, methodology is part of your chapter three. So, you have that one. Anyway, let's continue. I hope if you have any questions, you can just ask me from time to time. Okay, and let me know if it's a little bit fast or something's not clear. Okay. Okay na. Can I begin? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I cannot
You take
hear
it
any.
away.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
okay,
So
ma'am.
research methodology, like what Mr. Andrade said, includes data collection and data analysis. So for other terms, for some works or body of work or thesis or other dissertation, they call it data gathering. So data collection involves what? So data collection, you have that those are actually the questions that the design of your research begins with the data collection. So you have to take note of the following items when you do your data collection. So you have here, I will do it point by point. So let's start first with data collection or data gathering. Okay. So but first, what is data? Of course, data is what you will work on, no? So that is the information that you collect for the purpose of answering your research question. Because everything starts with the question, but then where are the answers to the question? The answers lie in your data. And your data should be like what he said, valid and reliable. So how do you know? You have to start it right with your data gathering or data collection. So it would depend on the type of data that you need and the type of knowledge you want to develop. So the type of data that you need is quantitative. So very numerical siya, very measurement based, big data and all those things. But if you want to have a data that's what do you call this one? Um a data that is very thorough, very detailed, but not a lot of participants or respondents, then you do that one qualitatively. So you have that. Again, data is the information that you need to collect for the purpose of answering your research question. Kasi how do you answer the question kung wala kang data? So you have that. And the data can be qualitative and quantitative. Okay, so take note of that. I hope I'm clear. Okay, so let's continue. Again, in data collection, you have to consider the following elements. So, what are you going to collect? Um, is it qualitative in nature, which is made up of words or phrases or observations or journals or something to that effect? Or is it mainly numbers, some very big data or measurement? So as a researcher, you have to decide what kind of angle or lens am I going to, what do you call this one? Take. Is it the qualitative lens or the quantitative? And another also consideration that you have to take is what kind of data, is it primary or secondary? So most of the researchers that we see are or use or read are usually using primary data. So they are usually using original data. Now, however, for some for the quantitative part, they have this kind of meta-analysis, which I will show later, where we will use secondary data. Now, for some qualitative studies, secondary data is also used. Like if you want to have a critique or a critique of a literature review, because you can actually do that one too. So some studies on philosophy or terms like other social sciences, they can actually use secondary data. But usually, I notice in most of social sciences, the primary data is used. And then, of course, are you going to take on descriptive or experimental? So, is it a measurement of something, simply that, or do you conduct an experiment? So, these are the primary considerations that you need to take account when you gather data. Is it quali or quanti? The source, is it primary or secondary? How are you going to approach that one? Is it descriptive or experimental? So again, as a researcher, I trust that you have that um, decision and also knowledge to choose what type and of data to collect and who are your respondents. So, okay, claro. I hope I'm clear. Clear, sir?
Excuse me, ma'am. If you
Yes.
don't mind me asking, are
Mm-hmm.
you starting to use your slide, ma'am? Because the slide's not moving.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm starting to use my slide. I am now in the next slide. Okay. Wait a moment. How come
Okay,
it's not
thank you, ma'am.
moving? As it's moving now?
It's not, ma'am.
Okay. So
Still,
what page? It's still. I'm still in the introduction or something.
yes, ma'am. Still in the page one.
For page one. So it's not moving. How come it's not moving? Why?
Oh, and on the second. Uh,
So we are now in the second. So we're now.
yes, ma'am.
Can I just us have this one na lang? It's not full screen para I
It's
can
okay. It's
click
okay.
from. Okay. So
Ate?
anyway, it's clear. Yeah, it's clear naman, 'di ba? So we
Yes,
are
yes,
on the
ma'am.
second slide. Is it? Are
Sig-
you? Yeah. Is the screen on the second slide now?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So again, going back. Okay. Sige. Sorry.
It's okay.
Technology. Mm. So, research methodology involves two parts or two procedures, like what Mr. Andrade said. So, data collection or data gathering and data analysis. Okay. So, for data collection, you need to. So, I will discuss this one first. Data collection. So, what is that one? I am on the third slide. Is it on the screen? The third slide? Yes or no, sir?
Third
Hello.
slide, ma'am. Third slide.
Okay. Okay, we are now on the third slide. So just let me know if we are on the same slide. So data
Okay.
collection. So what is data? Syempre, when you do research, you need to have a question. But where do you get the answers? Of course, it's from the data. So the data is the information that you collect for the purposes of answering your research question. Now, take note that you have to be very careful when you gather or collect your data because the data can be skewed or the data can have problematic results or because if you have a problematic data gathering method, the next step, which is data analysis, can even become more problematic. So you have to start it right first with the correct procedure of data gathering or collection. Now, the data collection method you use depend on the type of data you need and the type of knowledge you want to develop. So, for example, you want to pursue qualitative data, feedback. What do you call this one? Okay, sorry. So if you want to do qualitative data, that means you need to focus on words or observations or journals, because that answers your question qualitatively. Now, if you want to focus on quantitative data, then you have to focus on the numbers, the big data, the big samples, because that is what you want to answer. Okay, so that is the essence of data collection. Again, you need to start it right with your data gathering because if there's something wrong with it, then in effect, the analysis would also be invalid or not reliable. Okay. So let's talk more about data collection. I am now in the fourth slide. Okay na, sir? Fourth slide na. Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Data
I am
collection.
in the okay, correct. So data collection, qualitative, primary, and descriptive. Are we all here in the fourth slide? Okay na? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, when you, as a researcher, you have to decide what angle or lens are you going to take. Is it qualitative or quantitative? Are you going to focus on words or are you going to focus on the numbers? Okay. And then are you going to focus on the primary source of data or the secondary or the previously gathered data? Um, I noticed that most of the researches use primary data, but some researches also use secondary data, especially if you make like a critical, literature review. You can actually use secondary data. So these are the studies of other people, and you try to gather and collate and make an argument. You can actually do secondary data. Another example of using secondary data collection is a meta-analysis, which I will explain in the later part of my talk. So, but again, I have observed that most of the researchers use primary data collection or primary sources of data. And then finally, You take note of descriptive versus experimental. As a researcher, what are you trying to find out? Is it simply mainly descriptive, a measurement of something? Are you going to conduct an experiment? Okay, so that is the thing. Those are the things that you have to consider when you gather your data. I want to expound more on descriptive versus experimental data because this is where the area of parang shaky ground, especially in the experimental parts. So take note of that one. When you collect data, in the descriptive research, this is without intervention. So what that means is that you just let it be in its natural setting. And the validity of your research will depend on your sampling method. So if you're doing quanti, so you have many kinds of sampling methods like random sampling or stratified or something to that effect. For experimental, of course, it depends on your experimental design. So if you've noticed, when you do experimental research, di ba, may independent variable and dependent variable. So, and then of course, you take note that when you vary your independent variable, the effect of that will be on the dependent variable and also the control for the other confounding variable. So that in itself is already parang madugo siya. But of course, if you want to, so especially if you want to pursue, I notice mga education studies, yung mga especially if they want to put mga methodologies in a certain class or in a certain group, you can do that one. Or if you want to introduce a new approach to teaching or learning, you can actually do that one as part of experimental research. So meron kang pre-test, post-test, you have a control group, you have that other group too. So madugo siya, but if that's really your passion, then I suggest you try experimental research. So that's it. I would like to emphasize that for experimental research, ethical considerations are important. So, as with all the researches, especially now with privacy issues, consent is really very important. You cannot just let somebody, oh, paki-answer ng questionnaire. No. You need to have a consent form. You need to have a letter asking permission because people with the culture now, people are into their rights, and consent is very important. You have to ask their consent before you let them answer a questionnaire, or before you let them perform something, or before you give some kind of observation. So that is what I want to emphasize. Consent is very important, and it's part of ethics. So yun, as a researcher, we have to be ethical. So that's it for collecting data. So again, when you collect data, ano ba? So in a nutshell, ano ba, words lang siya? Phrases ba siya? Journal ba siya? Or what? Or big data number siya? Or the responses of a survey? Or a test ba? You let them take a test or something to that effect. So be careful on how you gather data. But now, because of technology too, data gathering is more or less a little bit convenient, because you can have your survey in Google form, diba? And then the person can just answer the form. But then again, you don't know if the person is really answering, because because you can do the survey paperless, so people can access it. But the thing is, can the you know is it really valid? Are the answers really true? So that's also the downside of it. But as a researcher, it's up to you. I think you will know that okay, this is outlier, or this is not the right data. So yun, that's one part. So I'm done with data gathering or data collection. The next slide is data analysis. Are we on the next slide, sir? Slide number 6. Okay na?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, done with data collection or gathering, let's do data analysis. So, again, data analysis is dependent on the type of data. So, again, kung quali ka, ano ba siya? Words ba siya? Expressions ba siya? Phrases ba siya? What? Journals, and observations like that? Or is it mainly quantitative in nature? So ano ka, frequency count ka ba, tabular in form? Is it the responses or what? And that's only one part. The other part is how you prepare your data, because you have to prepare it for analysis, especially if you have a big data. A lot of it can really be overwhelming. So you have to ready yourself when you do your analysis. Okay. So again, one way to analyze in the qualitative lens or in the qualitative angle, if you want to do pursue qualitative research, is to use thematic analysis. So this is the data that you have, and then you code that one. So you put codes, and then after you categorize that one, and then after you categorize the categories to create a theme. And then from there, you try to interpret and make sense of your data. So parang three steps siya. And then you might be saying, okay, madugo siya. But then qualitative data by nature is really depth. Yung in-depth to detail, thorough siya. So thematic analysis is actually important. Now, if you want to do quantitative data, by the way, the sample kasi of qualitative data is not a lot. So the sampling, the population that you will study is not a lot. So when you have that data, you have to analyze it, scrutinize it to the detail that you're going to create a code, a category, and a bigger category, which is called a theme. And then you have to review the categories and all those things. So it's actually the process is rigorous, but the analysis is rich because you know every single detail, period, comma, semicolon of your data, because you have that. Now, if you want to go quantitative data, so you have to do statistical analysis. So you have to specifically take note of the variables of your study, and then when you're done inputting your responses, and then you can have a software for that. There is a software which is that SPSS, statistical package software something. And then when you input that, the responses, the computer will just give you the figure, and then from there you analyze, is it significant or not significant, is the hypothesis what, null or void or what, something to that. Okay. More detail. So again, data analysis you have is used to understand words, ideas, and experiences. So usually the sources of data analysis for qualitative um, method is, of course, your survey, your interview, your literature review, case studies, and other things. You use non-probability sampling method kasi it's very, the sample is very small. So you don't, parang konti na nga siya eh. So you just have to do purposive sampling. Usually, qualitative researchers do purposive sampling because the samples or the population is not a lot. And then, take note, it's quite flexible and relies on the research judgment. So as a researcher, you should be able to judge if your data is sufficient or your analysis is sufficient enough. And you have to reflect carefully on your choices and assumptions. So when you are done with your analysis, you have to reanalyze it again, because you have to take into consideration all the details of what you are doing. Now, how do you strengthen judgment? Well, based from your practice of research and also from your readings, you can already say, there's something wrong with it, or this is the vision that I have for my paper. So that's how you do qualitative analysis. And then quantitative analysis, so it's mostly yun, frequency, averages, correlations in descriptive studies. I will show you later the study of my friend. And then for others, they have cause effect relationships in experiments. So again, during an experiment, so you have pre-test, post-test, and of course, because the data is big, then you can do probability sampling, because the assumption is what's happening to participant number one, the answers to participant number one will also be more or less the same and the answers with participant 100. So you just have to pick, at random points. to establish validity and reliability of the results. So again, it can easily be standardized and shared among researchers. So that is the quantitative analysis um, method. So the point here is for quantitative, the assumption here is what's the result of this population can be more or less the same with the results in another population or another group of students or in another group of phenomenon or something like that. Or it can also be the same across time. So whatever is happening, the results are here at this time will also be more or less the same in 5 years, in 10 years, or something to that effect. So that is the point of quantitative analysis method. Okay. And then yeah, these are the examples of statistical of analysis. So you can do statistically, like what I said. You can gather from experiment, surveys, and observation, and statistically analyze that one. So meaning may ano ka, statistical treatment. So may mga frequency ka or may mga treatments talaga like Z-test, T-test, and all the parametric and non-parametric tests. I will not explain in detail because I'm not a statistician, so just take note of that. That could be a part of your study. And then another way is meta-analysis. So later, I will show you a meta-analysis example, a part of my paper, the research methodology part of a meta-analysis paper. So as statistically analyze the large collection of studies. So I have read collection of studies and then also take note of their statistical treatments in their research methodology. So this is the analysis of the analysis. So this paper is analyzing the various research methodologies of a particular phenomenon. So which is done quantitatively. And then, of course, I will show you another paper on thematic analysis, which is done qualitatively. So again, from interview, focus groups, or textual sources. So to understand general themes, again, when you do thematic analysis, you have to begin with the data. And then from the data, you code the data. From coding the data, you categorize the data. And from categorizing the data, you have to categorize the categories in order to create themes. That is the essence of thematic analysis. Pero that doesn't end there because you're going to make sense of it. Why are the themes like that? Because qualitative research is iterative. What that means is paulit-ulit siya. So if there are words, phrases, or phenomena na paulit-ulit, why? And you have to explain that one. The nature of the iteration or iterative nature of the phenomenon. So yun. And then content analysis, I will show you an example of this one too. Okay. So I hope it's clear. It's very quiet. I don't know why, but anyway. Quantitative research. Okay
It's
na.
okay, ma'am. It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Gets pa? Okay, so quantitative research method. Pwede ba to? Can you see, sir? The slide, quantitative research method, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. Very clear.
Okay. Okay, so again, we begin with quantifying a problem. So the problem could be, because we always think that quantifying is a very complex thing, but you can actually do simple descriptive or description of a measure. So you just do parang frequency count or tabular representation. It still involves quantification. So which is okay, you can do that one. Or you can do a more complex one, which is inferential. Okay, so you can do all those complicated formulas. It's up to you. If that is what you want to do because you want to do experimental, then why not? Because it would be very relevant or helpful for other academicians or researchers. So go. And then because it's big data, like what I said, you must do random sampling because the assumption is what is happening or what is the response of participant one could probably more or less the similar or same responses with participant 100. And the observations of observation number one can be more or less the same as observation 100. So you just pick at random points so that you can establish the validity. Okay. And then, of course, it's deductive reasoning. So, general to specific siya. Kasi your data is big. and then you are going to test that one for a particular phenomenon. Then it's object based because it's very objective siya, numerical, measurable, and then the operations are systematic. Then so you have that gathering and analysis of your data. You can do advanced statistical analysis. So you can begin with mean median mode, and then you do regression, conditional, standard deviation. I'm not really very familiar of that one because again, I actually hired or asked help of a statistician to understand the point of my paper. So I suggest if you are going to do an experimental study, you ask an expert, a statistician. And then, of course, since it's quanti, graphical data or tabular representation. And then, of course, you have your projection of perceptions. So, yan. Those are the elements of quantitative research method. Now, this is an example of my research. So, in 2011, 10 years ago, this is what I've done with my paper. This is the chunk of my research methodology. So, the paper, I just put the points, the major points. Pero ano siya, ito talaga, paragraph ito. This is one paragraph because you have to explain your methodology. Like what Mr. Andrade said, you have to explain why you do it. You know, you just don't take it, but you have to explain why you do it. Why is it this one and not the other one? So it's one paragraph here. And then research environment is another paragraph. So you have to explain. So in my case, it's the University of San Carlos. So I have to explain in detail where is that, what campus, and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, the data. So I got it from the library of the University of San Carlos. So I got it from these newspapers here. Okay. And it's about 100. And when I did that, madugo siya. Pero sige lang. And then the instruments or the framework are for my analysis. So it's bounded by the framework. And of course, after doing the quantitative part, I did a little bit of qualitative research because I asked them, the advertising experts, because I'm doing advertisements. And then I also made use of the tool because madami siya. So it's about 100. So I used this one during my study. So that's one of those parts. And then the procedure. So how I collected or gathered data. So it's mainly descriptive. I digitally, parang I photographed and then I downloaded it and typed it again and printed it and downloaded it on the software para it will come out in a certain way. You will understand because I will show you the nature of my paper. So the quantitative part. So my study is actually quali. Simple quanti quali. So for the quantitative part, I did a simple descriptive statistics or for just frequency counting. And then for the qualitative part, I did content analysis, which I explained why is this like this and like that. So this is actually how my data looks like. So this is the quantitative part. So I did a frequency count. So these are the words that were common. And then for the qualitative part, so because this is the product of the software, and then I explained that one. Sir, are we on the next slide? Can you see quanti versus quali? Am I moving? Is my
Yes, ma'am. Qualitative, no,
okay.
quantitative research method still, ma'am.
So it's still quantitative. Bakit siya hindi? So it's not moving.
So
Okay.
we are now in quantitative versus.
Okay. So we are now here. So you can see this is my sample study. Can you see this one na?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when I was talking, was it on the screen or not on the screen?
On the screen, ma'am.
Okay, so take note of that one. Okay, so that's my master's thesis. So this is actually how my data looks like. So I did quanti quali. So this is the quanti part, and this is the quali part. Okay, so that's my study. Now this time I'm going to present, or I'm just going to read and run through with the study of my friend. So this is the study of Miss Jose Lenor Magno. So her study is the oral interlanguages of second language learners of Filipino and English. So I hope she's here, but She's not here. I think she's, yeah, she's out somewhere. But anyway, so same thing. She did her study in the University of San Carlos. So who are the participants of the study? So about 20 communication arts major, double major, so English and Filipino, and then the data are the oral narratives based on a short film. So that's how she got her data. And then the instrument, so she has to grade or rate the speaking ability of the double majors, students who are majors in English and Filipino. And then after rating that one, we have to double check. So it has to be interrated by other professors of English and Filipino. So you have that. And then her research procedure. So how she collected the oral recordings of the students. So syempre, nag-oral recording siya. So she made the students watch a film, and then she asked them a question like narrate the film in two languages. So she has to record it in two languages. So you have that one. That is gathering, data gathering. Madugo siya, but it's a good study. So you have that one. You can access that one in, I will give you the link for that one. And then for her analysis or treatment of data, because her study is clearly statistical or inferential in nature, um, her statistician recommended for her to use Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. Again, I'm not a statistician. This is the recommendation of the statistician because the point of her study is that she wants to find out if there is a correlational relationship between the student's performance in both languages, so in English and Filipino. So that is her study. So that is the statistical treatment. And then this is the study of your professor, Miss Maxilum. This is her dissertation. So again, this is her methodology, her framework, and then her questionnaire. I will just run through with this one, okay? And then of course her data and the procedures that she has, that she used in her study. Again, she used descriptive statistics because she had frequency and percentages. So you have that, but she also had an hypothesis. Okay, so one element of quantitative study is actually hypothesis testing. So in her case, she used hypothesis testing. And then for Miss Magno's case, she used inferential statistical treatment. So as a summary, okay, as a summary, when you do quantitative research methodology or quantitative research, there's always an element of descriptive statistics. There's always frequency and what do you call this one? Percentages. It's always present. And then not only that, there's also inferential kind of statistics, a more complex kind of statistical treatment. So in the case of Miss Magno, she had Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. So yeah. And then for Dr. Maxilum, for her dissertation, she had some kind of hypothesis testing. So those are the elements that you usually observe in a quantitative research. So there's always statistical treatment, whether descriptive or inferential, there's always that element or that aspect. So you have to take note of that. And sometimes some can have a complex or advanced statistical treatment, like this one in the case of Miss Magno, or in the case of Dr. Maxilom, there's always that kind of hypothesis testing. So those are the observations that I've had when you do quantitative research methodology within within the domain of linguistics. I don't know about other social sciences though, but that is how I see it in the domain or in the field of linguistics. So yun, that's it for quanti. Okay, okay pa? Because I will go to quali. Are you okay? Hello?
It's okay, ma'am. It's okay.
Okay. So ready? Okay, so I'm going to go to qualitative research methods. Okay, so this is the next part. So there are five, which I will not explain in detail. You just read and run through with that one. Take note of that. You have narrative research, phenomenological research, grounded theory, ethnography, and case study. Since my talk is about on research methodology, I will just focus on the methodology. So you have here data strategy or narrative type. You have your hermeneutic, which is very parang wordy siya. And then of course you have the empirical psychology, and then of course constructivist approach. So in my study, in my dissertation, I'm working on the grounded theory research. So wala siyang theory. I will generate the theory. I have this assumption that there is this existence of intercultural communicative teaching practice. So I will build the theory. I will construct the theory based from the data that I will gather. Good luck to me. So help me God. But that is the essence of grounded theory. I will build the theory based on the data that I have, that I will gather, that I will see. And then, of course, ethnography. So usually it's daily activities or observations. So it talks more, it's very about a culture of a people or society. And then, of course, case study. I think we're very familiar with case study because, it's very familiar in psychology, medicine, and law. So you have that one. Those are the types of qualitative research method. I just need to run through with that. Okay. Now I want you to focus on, so as a summary, so ethnography focuses on a culture, context or a culture. The sample size can range from, you know, it's up to you as a researcher, or you can actually study secondary data, like already data that is done, and then you just reanalyze it to a certain extent. So that is ethnography. Again, observation and interviews, you can have that one, or you can have, like what I said, already established researches, and then parang make an argument about it, and then you can use the same uh, observation and interview. That's why the sample size can be very varied. Then, of course, narrative focuses on the individual experience and sequence. So, one or two. So, these are stories from individuals and documents. So, like what I said, kung isa lang siya, na you will study one or two persons, then you have to study the details of the life of that person. So, every single episode of the life of that person. Kasi isa lang siya eh. Only one person or two people. So you have to take note of that every single episode. Then you will code that one, and then categorize, and then recategorize, because you're going to establish a theme. Then from there, you're going to analyze and then make sense of it. That is narrative. Then phenomenological. So if they
Excuse me,
experience
ma'am.
a certain, yes, yes.
Pwede pa na to, ma-zoom na to ang screen for the sake of the viewers because they are
Ah,
asking
okay.
for
So it's
the text.
okay. Okay. Is it here now? The qualitative?
Qualitative research methods.
Yeah. So I'm now in the sample size. Okay. And then the data collection. Okay. So as a summary, the previous slide is about the details of those methods. So simply, if you want to study or focus on a context or culture, then you do ethnography. The sample size can be varied because you focus on observation and interview. What that means is that you can actually study or restudy a particular context or culture. So you don't have to parang gather a primary source of data. So again, pwede siyang hindi naman zero because the data is there. So you just restudy it or find another angle of research in it. So that's ethnography. Next is narrative. So narrative can have one participant or two. So it's an individual's experience or sequence. So stories from individuals are documents. So syempre, if it's only one person, sobrang detailed. You have to take note every episode of that person's life, or every aspect of that person's life, kasi isa lang siya or two. So you have to take note of that, and then you have to transcribe, code, categorize, recategorize, so that you can have a theme and then make sense of it, and then ulit-ulit. The process is over and over because ano siya, qualitative siya, iterative, or paulit-ulit. And then phenomenological, so if they experience a certain phenomenon. So phenomenon, usually some phenomenological studies are on addiction or on depression. So on the quanti side, you can do like intervention, which is numbers, experimental. On the quali side, which is the story of those drug addicts, the story of those depressed people. So you can listen to their stories, and then from their interviews, na madaming interviews, na paulit-ulit, because again, it's iterative in nature. And then from there, from that over and over again, you can see a pattern, because you are actually looking for a pattern for your analysis, for your thematic analysis. So your theme is actually a pattern, or there's no pattern, like that kind of thing. And then, of course, grounded theory. So this is the one that I'm working on. So there is no theory. I am assuming, or I'm making the assumption, and I am building the theory. From the data that I have, I am building the theory. So hopefully, I can build a theory. So I will interview Filipino professors in currently teaching in Korea, and I will try to make sense if there really exists an intercultural communicative teaching practice. So as a theory, because that is my theory. And then finally, case study. So organization, entity, and individual. So based from interviews, documents, reports, and observations. Again, you can have one or you can have none, because you can actually study a previous case study and find another angle of research in it. So you can reanalyze a previously written case study and find another angle. Oh, baka I see this is this one. And you can have a critique. So that's qualitative too in nature. Okay. Okay na, sir?
Hi, ma'am.
Okay.
Mo hangyo
Okay.
lang ko again, ma'am. If
Yes?
ay mga text, ma'am, niya, medyo gamay. Can we move the zoom control ubos sa slides, ma'am? For,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
For other
Para
people.
bigger na.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
Oh, okay. So this
Thank
one
you.
is okay. So I will make this one full screen. So I am now talking about my proposal. So this is my dissertation proposal. So I'm doing qualitative research, full qualitative, grounded theory approach. Again, the site is South Korea. So South Korea higher education institutions, and then the participants are Filipino professors who are currently teaching in South Korea. And then the data collection or data gathering. So I have two. I will email the questionnaire, so they will answer it. And then I will also ask them online interviews to have more depth in my study. The University of the Philippines is very, very into ethics. So I have to give a consent form to everybody that I will interview. Because again, ethical considerations. So yun. And then the data analysis, I'm using this thematic analysis. So again, steps. These are the steps. So I have to be familiar with the data. Once I have the data, I have the transcriptions I have the answers, the email answers from the questionnaires, and then the transcribe online interviews. I will make codes. I will code them, and then I will categorize, and then I will make a bigger category which is called the theme, and then I will review the themes ulit-ulit over and over, and then I will define, and finally I will write the theory, or the one that I am trying to establish. So hopefully matapos na siya. Okay. And then this is what I'm talking about. Very little. I'm now in the next slide, language teaching. Sir, ano siya, sir? Klaro siya, sir. I know it's not klaro. I'm now on the next slide, which is language teaching. Comparative of quantitative and qualitative. Is it on the screen?
Not yet, ma'am. Still sample qualitative methodology.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay, so here you go.
okay, that's it, ma'am. But the text,
Okay. Okay, Nasha. Sorry, I'm trying to condense here. So this is one of my final papers. So like what I said, this is the concept, or the body or the field of study, which is language teaching. Now, for language teaching, you can do it in two ways. You can do it quantitatively. So, in my case, I did a meta analysis of this one. So, the oral communication strategies, blah, blah, blah. So, I also read a lot of statistical researches with statistical tools. So this is the analysis of those statistical analysis. So it's done this way. And then I also did a qualitative, which is still language teaching, but phenomenological lens or angle. So again, interview siya and then analysis. So it's up to you again as a researcher, which are you more interested. First and foremost, which are you more interested and which are you parang um more inclined and what do you call this one, you want to pursue? Because as a researcher, it's important that you want to do what interests you. Because even if madugo siya, it pushes you because you are interested in it. Okay? So this is the comparison. Sir, klaro siya, sir?
Yes,
Comparing
ma'am.
quali and
Yeah,
okay.
very clear, ma'am.
Okay, so as a summary of quali and quanti, again, for quali, you discover ideas. So the data is there, you make, yung parang, you make the theory, you build the theory with your observations. Yun. That's the purpose of it. While in quanti, you test the hypothesis. Okay, so there are specific research questions. Again, the approach is you observe and interpret for qualitative, and then for quanti, you measure and test. For data collection, it is unstructured free form. And then for quantitative is structured and the categories are provided. Because usually when you make a questionnaire, you simply like use yes, no, or Likert scale, ano ba, very satisfied, satisfied, blah, blah, blah. So the categories more or less or not applicable. So the categories are there. Unlike sa data collection ng quali na you have to, okay, you have to categorize this one. And then, of course, the researcher is intimately involved and the results are subjective, but it doesn't mean that it's not important or it's not correct. Because as a researcher, as a qualitative researcher, when you have the data already, you have your categories, you have to do it again. You have to review it. So yun. So the results are that. And then of course, the researcher is an uninvolved observer and the results are objective. And the sampling is often small and in natural setting, like what I discussed in slide 21. Na it can be none or it can be 50. But the depth of it in detail, nandun siya. And then of course, for quantitative, it's big data. So the results are generalizable. Sorry, generalizable. Sorry, results. So it can be applicable in a particular population or in a across time. Like it's still applicable 5 years later or 10 years later. Now, this is again, if you want to do mixed method, so here it's in between. Again, the approach, is it clear? I hope it's clear. So inductive, so usually
That's clear,
inductive,
ma'am.
ang qualitative, so from specific to general. So I have this data and then I have to see it as a bigger picture and make sense of it. While for quantitative, deductive, big data, testing mo siya. So again, depth and breadth. The setting is natural for quali. For quanti, it's more or less experimental or quasi. The sampling is purposeful because konti lang yung data mo eh. So you have to have a purposive sampling method. While for quanti, it's random. And then of course, the methods here, you have interviews, observation tools. And then for quanti, it's surveys and data, clinical data, especially for other medical stuff. And then iterative, like what I said, if you see a common pattern or commonality, a pattern, then that's your interpretation. Here, you have to explain the value, the number, the numerical value. Why is it like that? Why is there a correlation? Why is there none? Why is there a cause and effect? And so on and so forth. Okay, and again, here, um, yeah, again, it's the same. So one, two, three. I just want to emphasize the confidence in doing qualitative research. Okay. So it's trustworthy because as a researcher, you are doing your best to make your judgment stronger. So your study is trustworthy. Okay. And then, of course, if you're doing quantity, there's certain validity and reliability. So validity, what's the difference? So validity, your test is correct, accurate, tama siya. There's no flaw in the questions. There are no double-barreled questions or something to that effect. Walang mali. When you conducted the study, that's true. That's the results are authentic. And reliability is the result is applicable across space and across time and across population. So yun. So your study is the results of your study will be more or less the same with the results of another group, okay, another population, or in 5 years, in 10 years, and so on. And then when you present your data, this one, so kung quali siya, madami siya. So it's usually quotes, categories, themes, conceptual frameworks to aid the understanding. And then if it's quanti, numerical inform, ang daming graph, ang daming tables to summarize your data. Then that's it. So tips. Tips ba? Tips. I hope I can. I hope this is what I've learned for for while I'm doing my research. You have to read. You don't only read, but you read extensively and intensively. What that means is that you read intensively, intense. Intindihan mo whether or not the paper or the one that you've read is balibalik ta rin siya, you understood everything because you understood every single detail of what the paper means. So you read intensively. And then you also read extensively because you don't only read that certain paper, you also have to have your review of related literature. So similar studies to the one that you are pursuing. So, who likes to read? Not everyone. Who has time to read? No one. But you have to read. Read, and read. Because when you make or you formulate your research question, you have that question in your head, but it has to be polished. And one way of polishing the research question is to read. Because maybe wala na siyang point kasi tapos na siya, somebody has studied it. So why do that research? So yun, that's the point of that. And if you have mga doubts or uncertainties on your research, in particular your research methodology, reading is very helpful. And you're very lucky because of technology is really very good, and researchers are like online, you can access researches. So you don't have to go to the library because there's online version of the library. So there's an especially with Corona, people are working and studying from home, so you can access everything in your computer. So yeah, you don't have to go to far-flung places or something to do the reading for you. It's there. But the downside of it is that you are reading, but there are also misinformation around. So be careful with what you're reading too, because a lot of information, a lot of data, but there are miscalculations of data and misinformation. So ang daming fake news. So um, you have to be very vigilant with your reading. Another tip is you ask help. So like when I did my masters, so I did the intro part and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if I want to pursue that one fully because I'm just interested in environmentalism and all those movements and stuff like that. But then your professor, Dr. Maxilum, was very kind to me and suggested to me, like, why not do a preliminary data gathering? And I examined like about 10 ads, and then I realized, oh, there's a common pattern. And then from there, it gave me confidence to just pursue, okay, I'm going to pursue this one. So your professor was really very helpful for me in my master's thesis because she really, gave me some insights on how to go about the data. Don't be afraid to, ask help from the experts because they are willing to help you. Hindi siya nakakawalang na feeling mo ang tanga-tanga mo. No, no, that's what you call a research. You're just gathering data, so the data is not from the books but also from the insights that you get from experts. So yun. And then when you do your statistical or when you do your research methodology, you have to consult a statistician kasi parang you don't know the variables, especially if you're doing statistical experimental studies. Baka the variables are all over the place. So ano na. Okay? Or if feeling mo naman kaya mo, then you can just simply download the software, which is statistical package, software, something system software. Then you just input the data and then it will generate the value. But be careful because, computer is garbage in, garbage out, input, process, output. So, baka pag mali yung input mo, may lalabas siya na output but it's not valid or reliable. So, be careful din sa software. In my case, I'm doing CACDAS, which is computer-aided qualitative design analysis. Yes, software. So, quali siya. Kasi ang quality to the detail. And there are many softwares, so I'm doing in vivo because my friend is doing in vivo and he has already parang bought the license for about a year and he's done with his data gathering. So I just told him, like, when I'm doing my data gathering, can I just run through? And he said, it's fine. It's a license and it's about a year. So you can just access that one. Okay, so ask help. People will help you. There's always help, you know. So you have that one, and then don't be afraid to retest and redo because madugo siya, and you will say, oh no, but I have a timeline. No, hindi pwede. Even if you have a timeline, but the data is not right or not relevant at all, you have to retest and redo. You don't lie about the data because it will come back to haunt you. And mas madugo pa siya because you have to redo so many parts. So, you know, um things will always parang in life and in everything you have to do, if you want to be successful or if you want to be great, you have to have that kind of attitude na okay lang, trial and error, let's just do this, okay, do this again, and it's part of the study, and you have to trust the research process because sometimes it's in your face and then you just cannot see the value of the data when you just have to step back and see the bigger picture, and then you can see, this is how it will go, this is how my data will go, like that. So you just trust the process. So again, ano siya, trial and error, especially if you're doing experimental. So yun, just have the rigor, which is yung ano talaga, um just have the attitude na parang never say never, fighting na attitude. You have to trust the process, and mastering a process involves time, and really it's time bound. Even if you have a timeline, but the data has its own timeline, or the participants, so many variables, and especially now na coronavirus, so it's another variable that you have to take into. So you have to trust that everything will just fall into place and you will be okay when you do your research because time talaga. Because time holds knowledge and knowledge is power. So the answers are out there. You just have to be patient and do things right the first time. Okay. I hope I'm clear. Klaro ba? So thank you.
Very clear, ma'am.
Salamat. Kamsahamnida. Okay. And then this is the bibliography. So I think I will email this one. The slides that I've used, I will email this one. If you are interested, you can do the bibliographic research.
Yes, ma'am, because most of our viewers are asking your slides, if it's okay for you.
Hmm. Anyway, ano lang naman siya eh. I got this one from other sources too. So yun. Wag lang kunin yung ano ko, yung dissertation ko. Kasi dissertation ko siya. Hindi pa siya tapos.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's it. I hope I've given you insights on how to do not only your research methodology but how to do research in general. So good luck researchers, and good luck to your research endeavors. Thank you. Salamat. Kamsahamnida. So Q&A na. 1 hour talaga.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So
Okay, for a while.
okay, sir. So it's 1 hour. OMG. Okay.
Okay, dear participants, so we are now open for the question and answer portion. So since you are using our YouTube live platform, so kindly post your concerns or questions, okay, so that it will be addressed by our dear speaker.
Okay, so I can see the okay. It's only a small C, but we have big C. What does that mean? Sino yan? Not on the screen. Sorry. I'm
Okay,
not
so we
techie.
have the first
Okay.
question, ma'am, from Juan Carlos
Mm.
Sato.
Mm.
Okay,
Ah, okay.
sabi niya,
Okay.
question po, ang thesis po
Okay.
namin is thematic analysis and yung
Mm-hmm.
theoretical framework gamit name is grounded theory. Bali dalawa
Mm-hmm.
po ang gagawin namin po ba once we are on the last part?
Okay. So you're doing thematic analysis. No, because when you're doing grounded theory, you are making your theory. So the thematic analysis, so the grounded theory is the general part of it. What is the theory? What are you trying to answer? Or what are you trying to present? And then the thematic analysis, those are the steps or those are the patterns that you see to support the theory. So the grounded theory or the theory is the general, parang the bigger picture. Tapos yung thematic analysis are the smaller parts or the smaller elements of it. So for example, sa study ko, ang theory ko ay intercultural communicative teaching practice. That's my theory. Now the themes that I will find are intercultural blah blah, yung mga ganun, mga methodologies, mga intercultural modes, yun. So you will only um the grounded theory will result from your thematic analysis. So yeah, yun yung intindi ko. Because you will build your theory, you will build your own, okay, your own assumption on things. So yun. And then, gagawin po ba namin once we are on the last part? No. So, you start first with, you have to have your general question, which is your theory. And then, based from your data, you find themes or categories that would support that theory or assumption that you want to present. Yun. Do I make sense, Mr. Sato? Mm.
And
So,
also,
mm,
same person, okay, in connection.
uh-huh.
Uh,
Okay. So ang ano the only thing that mo propose kung kasi po nasa SOP namin is to propose a media plan. Ah, shucks iba siya kasi siya 'no. Puwede
Yes, ma'am.
naman siya, eh. So if you're gonna do that one, then you say, so your SOP, I don't know what your SOP number one is, but I suggest your SOP number one is what is the existing communication media plan. That is your SOP number one or two for that matter. Kasi you have to you establish that there is an existing, and then your SOP number three is your parang the one that you want to propose or espouse na you will make a communication media plan. So ito yung existing, pero ito yung in-offer niyong theory or a communication media plan. So yun. So, bale, yung SOP number three is, yeah, your own theory based ng existing na communication plan. Because you have to do SOP number one is what is the existing communication plan. Then SOP number two nyo, which I don't know. And then SOP number three is what is what is the proposed communication media plan. Parang ganun siya. That's how I see your paper. I hope it makes sense. I hope I make sense.
Okay, I hope Sir Juan Carlos Sato, you're guided with
Mhm.
that explanation. And another person, ma'am, from Ma'am Sheila
Ah,
Mail.
okay, Miss Sheila May. I'd like to ask, what are you for conducting research content analysis on films or documentaries? We're having trouble doing trailer analysis. I think it's very subjective, ma'am. Okay. Ano ka? Are you individual ba to or by partner or ano? If you're having trouble, what you do, I suggest you ask help from experts talaga. Yung parang expert communication. So somebody will check your data. So you're doing your content analysis, no? And then you ask another communication expert to review your data analysis. Para if you feel na subjective siya, pero may expert naman na nagko-confirm, if there's an expert who confirms the subjectivity of your analysis, then wala na. Parang the panelists can have the panelists can have no more say about it because it has been confirmed and validated by another expert. So, and if you have more time and more experts, then you can ask parang another expert to confirm. So, parang triangle method siya. So parang your initial analysis, kasi yung confidence mo as a researcher, parang you're not sure. So that's one analysis. Ay, may feedback siya. Hindi ko naririnig si Sal. Sorry. Okay. So Sheila May, so you make your own analysis na, that's one. And then you ask other two people who are experts on film or documentary na i-double check yung yung research nyo, analysis. And from there is that level of confidence na when you defend your paper, then you just simply say to your panelists, no, I'm doing triangulation method. This analysis has been validated and confirmed by communication experts who are majoring in film and documentary. Now the next question is, sino ba sila? I don't know. So you have to look for them para hindi ka parang nagda-doubt, you're not doubting na because it's too subjective. Pero na-confirm naman siya na-validate naman siya ng ibang tao na with good credentials. So okay lang. Good luck, by partner, ma'am. So you have to do the analysis together and probably kahit isang expert lang para triangulation method lang na ikaw tapos partner mo, tapos parang another expert to review validate and confirm your results, your analysis, and then I think okay na siya. The triangulation method of research. If you can have another expert, more expert, is it fine to have one SOP? I don't know your SOP kasi. So, I don't know. I don't know your SOP and depende kasi. It depends because what if you are doing I'm not sure. Kasi when you're doing grounded theory, you have to parang this is the established one and this is the proposed one. Yun kasi siya eh. When you are grounding on a theory, yun, parang ganun. So, parang dapat talaga dalawa. I'm not sure of one. Ma'am, we're using your Morgan to sample for the number of responders. However, we're given limited time only. Is it fine to use quota? Consult your thesis advisor. Sabihin mo, limited time. Ganun. Ano lang, same, ano lang. Ilan bang respondents? 100 ba or what? Kasi if you do quota sampling, maybe the next, so example, quota mo 50 lang. What if yung 51st participant, siya pala talaga yung mag-a-answer yung would enrich your data and analysis, kaso nakota ka na. So you did not give a chance to the other participants to parang enrich your data or thesis. But the first thing you need to do is ano na lang, you consult your advisor na, ma'am, limited time lang. Pwede quota. Yeah. And then when you choose quota, you need to have a bigger reason, parang a deeper reason aside from time limit. Kasi when you do that one in your research methodology, you have to explain that in paragraph form. Now, why are you using this methodology, Krejci and Morgan? And then why only using quota sampling? And then the only reason you have is for limited time. Parang ano siya? Parang you explain lang sa advisor nyo. Maybe the advisor will have a deeper reason kung bakit. It's hard to get the target unlike conduct. O nga no, kasi COVID. Oh, you can make that one as a reason. Oh, may reason ka na. Na quota na lang kasi online siya, blah, blah, blah. Tapos COVID, hindi namin alam yung validity ng mga responses. Baka faker, baka scammer sila. But before, ano daw? 377? Wow naman. Paki-explain sa advisor mo, madam. Madam, pwede naman namin ang research, pero pagbalik sa responses, di namin sure kasi baka faker. Alam mo yun, madaming faker, madaming poster, tapos hindi pa namin ma-validate because COVID nga. You get what I mean? So you just phrase it in such a way that as much as we want to do like a target sample of 377, but the due to coronavirus we cannot blah 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 kasi nga you cannot parang do another process of validating kung totoo ba talaga ng mga taong to. But for a month, ma'am, we are only getting around 70 plus, so we're trying to use quota sampling of 100. Ano siya, Miss Storing, explain mo sa advisor mo. I think your advisor or teacher will understand na, ma'am, COVID, ma'am. Hindi kaya ang 377. Oh, what is that? Is that masters or is that bachelors? Kasi pag bachelor, parang okay lang naman eh. Pero kung master siya, depende. Kasi, then this advisor. And the thing is, I understand your advisor kung bakit 377. Kasi your advisor wants your data to be very, very valid, very, very reliable, and very, very publishable, Pero considering corona, explain mo lang. We are trying. So I hope good luck. Explain first. Good luck. Yes, I hope I, made some clarification. Yeah. Nadadaan naman siya lahat sa mabuting usapan. Okay? So, email mo lang every time. every other, the advisors will, ano naman siya, they will be open naman. Because, ano siya eh, para expertise naman nila. So, yun lang. Any more questions? I think there's a competition. Yeah. Oh yeah, like Miss Crystal. Oh, thank you, Miss Crystal, for attending. Yes. There was a competition to a quota sampling. Oh, sus, naku po. So magkukota ka. So sa 377 na yun, mga ilang quota? How much is that? Is that 70 people, Crystal? Which we don't know. So, mysterying. So, kung gusto mo mag-gota pa, explain mo pa, bibigyan mo pa siya ng calculation, you have to put everything, all the changes in your methodology, you have to, was referred to po sa statistician. O tanungin mo sa statistician, anong formula ng quota sampling? Yes, kasi you have to put everything in writing. Every change that you do, you have to put everything in writing. Okay. So, good luck to your research no 377. Like what Miss Crystal suggested, there are controlled and uncontrolled quota sampling. So, you have to, you have to study pa. Ano ba ang controlled? Ano ba? What's your study, Miss Toring? What is it about? Not on this grade. Yes, so this is, you can answer that, yeah. Ano ba to? Read, meditate day and night. So, okay. Yep. So, depends kasi. It depends on the domain, on the field. So, yun. Depende. And also depends kung quali ba siya or quantity ba siya. So, yeah. Ano lang. Communicate. Communication is key. I think the professors will appreciate communication. Kesa naman when you're ready with your defense, and then the professor would say, ano to? What's this? Why is it change? Why? I will be surprised. Oh, 377? Why only 70? I would be reacting that, what? Why? Why didn't you tell me? Like that kind of thing. So, you have to communicate and communicate and communicate para makita din the professors will know and see and feel na you're really trying your best. Na despite the current situation we have, you are really trying your best. Yun. Yes, and thanks, Miss Crystal. Yes, she's actually one of the best research writers and research teachers. She's also one of my editors for my research. So I trust Miss Crystal with her expertise. Okay na. Oh my God, 2 hours na. Okay. I thought 1 hour and a half lang. Because I was only thinking 1 hour and a half lang to. Okay, guys. Ma'am, sa garden theory, ako naman lang yung derived theory namin is the existing theory na lang. Okay. Ang i-derive na theory namin is the hindi. Okay. So, ito yung existing theory but you have to make modifications kasi 'di ba, may you will propose another, right, communication plan. So, if follow mo lang siya, bakit ka pa nag-propose, 'di ba? So, you do the existing, so you study the existing theory, and then when you make your proposal, yun, make some modifications. So, yun, parang ano na siya, parang ano ulit. So, that is your media utilization. Kasi madaming respondents, pwede siyang ano eh. Pwede kasi siyang anybody can answer. Wala ka bang mga ibang friends, Miss Storing? Oh, by the way, I hope I answered the previous question sa grounded theory. So, yeah, pwede naman yun. Pero make sure ha, Mr. Sato, you make modifications. Kasi if you're going to propose something new, tapos pareho lang naman siya, bakit ka naman propose? So, do not forget, Mr. Sato, make modifications. Yun. May storing, kasi your data kasi is is expected. Pero students sa school namin po ang target respondents. Oo nga, no? Para more relevant sa ano nyo, sa school nyo. Wala ka bang ibang friends sa school? Sorry. And no, Miss Katja said, it also depends on what media you are studying. Yeah, correct. Because media can be what? Social media or traditional media, you know. Tapos pag social media pa, ang dami pa, di ba? Pwede ka lang nga mag-choose lang ng isa eh. Kung Facebook lang siya or Twitter or Instagram, like one will be sufficient. One platform is actually sufficient. So, yun. So, gets ko kung bakit 377. Talk to your advisor lang. And then, kung gusto mo, mga different platforms, pwede ba yun? Crystal, is it okay? Pero same respondents, different platforms lang. And I'm not really using the broadcast. Madami siya. Oh my God. Crystal, madami siya, Crystal. Look, they're using broadcasting, which is traditional, and then print, another traditional, and social media, which is the new media. Madami siya. You ask na lang your prof. Kasi the results, I suppose, I'm not an expert on that kind of media, no? Because my expertise is intercultural. Yeah, exactly. Like what Miss Christel said, with different platforms comes different characteristics and features. And with that being said, the results of your data will be different from the different platforms. The two traditional ones would yield or give different results, and you have to analyze them differently too. And then of course social media is would also probably give or yield a different result, and then you have to explain pa na bakit, because it could be na pare-pareho lang ang result ng dalawa or ang tatlo, or what if iba-iba silang result. Oh my goodness, 'di ba? So what if different sila ng result? You have to explain three different things. 377. Please talk to your advisor and limit your data. I think social media na lang. Kasi
Okay,
ano
so
siya, malawak.
I think ma'am, the no question is in our chat box.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so we are now on presentation of certificates to our guest speaker this morning.
Okay.
Okay, Cebu Technological University main campus. The certificate of appreciation is presented to Mary Catherine Ariusa, MA LPT, for sharing her unselfish expertise through a webinar entitled Research Methodologies, Qualitative and Quantitative Approaches to Research via YouTube Live platform. Given this 1st of May, year 2021 at Cebu Technological University main campus, MJ Quinco Avenue, corner R. Palma Street, Cebu City, Philippines. Dr. Juan Marie Mangumpit, Faculty Department of Languages and Literature, University Director, CCMR.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. Thank you very much.
Sir, i-email ko na lang. Yes, sir, i-email ko ang slides for those who are interested to,
Yes, ma'am. Daghan kayong interested gid, ma'am. Especially for us nga under ni Ma'am Rowan. We need the inputs.
Okay. I hope I made some clarity. I've given some clarity.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
You did it well, ma'am.
I'm trying. We're all helping each other. So again, laban lang, guys. Fighting. Okay. Right. And you're gonna sing the CTU hymn. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
You have heard the long beats and helping us to sing apart. From a simple solitary root, you read and song and one. And each time the great heart remembers your love story, it fills with pride. Oh, grandmother of a searching soul, beloved university. Oh, all our thoughts, the earnest way it shows, our means to be truly free. Our records to harness certain souls, and your patience, technology. We will march at the front in a war against want, and make our heaven let us be, and make our heaven let us be. As our hearts uncertain, boldness we set our course. From a simple, ordinary form, you bring redemptive force. Learning to set out in new directions, ambitious goals for the generations that are yet to be. Full of life and dignity.
Okay. Okay.
It's our execution legacy for victory and for
Yay.
And a virtual applause to our guest speaker this morning. And everyone, thank you.
Thank
Also,
you.
Dr. Juan, thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Rowan. Okay na, sir? Okay na?
Okay,
End
ma'am.
na?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Sige, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, ma'am. God bless. Stay safe.
Hello, sir. Sir? Di ko kayo na marinig, sir. Off ata yung mic niya, sir.
Sir Mark,
Yes, sir.
go and stay for our closing remarks.
Okay, so first and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation to the speaker, Ma'am Mary Catherine Ariosa, a licensed professional teacher, and my classmates as this day's organizer for their valuable contribution to our symposium or seminar under our research methodology class under the supervision of Dr. Rowan Marie Mangumpit. My deepest gratitude goes to all who attended the symposium and helped to make it such a successful event. The purpose of this research, in my own opinion, is to inform action. Thus, your study should seek to contextualize its finding within the larger body of research. Research must always be of high quality in order to produce knowledge that is applicable outside of the research setting. Furthermore, the result of your study may have implications for policy and future project implementation. Now, before ending my closing remarks, I would like to convey a special thanks to the focal persons who have been extremely cooperative in organizing this wonderful session today that has the goal of enriching and informing us deeper with what and how research methodology works and making sure that the session will be in smooth run. Finally, to our professor, Dr. Mangompit, our professor for Edu 601, entitled as Research Methodology. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us the opportunity to have this kind of session, which is very beneficial, not only for us, but also for the other participants of this session. So once again, good morning, everyone, and God bless us all.
Thank you, sir. And now for our evaluation. So again, let me remind that in evaluation, kindly fill up properly your complete name because it's auto-generated. So what will be the name appear in our evaluation form will be the same name appear in your certificate. So please be guided. And also, Sir Nanti, I think any additional inputs?
So, I just want to say thank you, sir, for this new experience. Again, good job para sa lahat.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yun lang, sir. Salamat.
Okay, sir. So if you are using your laptop and you have your smartphone, okay, you can use the QR code or also kindly use the link tinyurl.com/evaluation dash research. To claim your certificate, kindly visit your email and then it's in already a PDF file. So kindly download that one as a proof that you attended the webinar. Okay, and also this presentation is auto recorded. Once mo visit mo o mo revisit, the same link lang ang labi na sa mga classmates na ko sa research methodology class. Especially if katong gusto mo mo view from the start. So visit lang sa link. At least you can have the copy. Okay? Okay, once again, this has been Sir Benavides P. Hironjo Jr., your Master of Ceremony of the day. Thank you and good day. Okay, stay safe, everyone. Thank you, Doc.